All right, we are live. Welcome to the How Can I Support My Child series. According to Dr. Kenneth Ginsburg, understanding the preteen's mood swings means recognizing the complex changes that they are experiencing and responding to it with patience, empathy, and support. Our ability to respond to our children's mood swings with empathy, support, and patience is how we show them that we understand what is going on with them, what is going on with the complex changes in their lives. Welcome to the How Can I Support My Child series. My name is Maribel Chima, and I am the founder of the Parenting Through Mentorship Academy and PTM Resources. And this show is that morning tonic that we bring to you at 8:30 a.m. every morning to help you, support you on your parenting journey. The show is us trying, or this is us trying to make you pay more attention to parenting your young children and preteens. Sometimes our attention is on parenting our older children or looking for solutions to the problems or the challenges that we can see with our teenagers, our older children, most times. And we neglect the fact that the only reason we're dealing with those challenges with our teenagers is because we have neglected the school age child, the toddler, and perhaps even our preteens. And so we want to open up your mind to the fact that there is a lot that we can do in the early phase of the child's life to mitigate all of the challenges that come up later in their lives. We answer questions that parents have to ask concerning their children, and that is what this show is about, answering the questions that parents have in their parenting journey. My name is Maribel Chima, and I am the founder of the Parenting Through Mentorship Academy and PTM Resources. I am also the proud matron of the Mastermind Circle. People call me the mentor mom, and that is because I recognize the place or the role that we play in the life of our children as parents and as mentors. So, as a parent, you are a mentor, and of course, there are other mentors that you can partner with and collaborate with to support your children. Children need mentors. No child should be raised, no child should grow up without understanding the concept of mentorship. And of course, without the mentors being positioned to support the child. Today, we are looking at how can I support my child to deal with mood swings? How can I also help my child deal with their mood swings? This is very critical. This is really very important because as our children move from being toddlers, the joyful, energetic, excited, toddler, to becoming school age children whose ears we still have, whose moods or whose behavior we can still control as parents. As they move from this phase to becoming preteens, who all of a sudden you are wondering, is it the same child that I have always known? All of a sudden you're wondering, what happened to the child? And some of us at this stage will begin to blame it on everything that is possible, from their school to their friends to their we blame it on every other person apart from ourselves. Today, I want us to see that there is more than just school friends that could be happening to your child. It's first of all, some of the things happening are natural, and others are things that we can control or we can support, as parents. All right. So the mood swings that we see, or what are mood swings basically? They are those unpredictable behaviors that we see in our children most times as a result of their emotions or whatever it is that they are going through. So one moment the child is happy, the next moment the child is sad, and there isn't usually an answer to the question, what is wrong with you? Now, many times we think the child is just being secretive, okay, or the child is just being disrespectful by not giving us an answer to that question. But a lot of times, even the children cannot place their finger on what exactly it is that is happening at that time. So today, we will be looking at 5 reasons why preteens experience mood swings, and then we would also look at strategies that we can use as parents to help these children. As I said, one day you have a joyful toddler, excited toddler, and all of that. That is a simple pack or sachet of biscuits or anything can pull them from a bad mood to an outright, uh, they can go from 0 to 100 in the space of 2 minutes or 2 seconds, just because you have handed them a bar of chocolates or a pack of biscuits and all of that, and then all of a sudden this person is in that place where even your box of pizza doesn't do it. Okay, they're in that space where to even get across to them is a task, right? So how can we move, or how do we understand what is going on here, and what can we do to raise or to support our children during this phase? And we want to even ask, right? All right, what are the things that make it impossible for us to predict our children's moods during these times? Have you ever thought about it? Okay. And I know that many times it becomes frustrating as parents when we now all of a sudden realize that you cannot control how the child feels. There isn't much you can do when they are in that space. You can't control how they feel. Sometimes you are out with them, visiting friends and loved ones, or you are at some gathering or some place where they're supposed to put up their best behavior, and that is the time that they are going through one of those mood swings. I know some parents at those times will practically want to like pull their hair. Like some people have to put all the emotional intelligence that they have together, right? Not to go off during those times. Now, for some parents, they would even damn everything else and lose it outrightly with the child. What can we do to understand what's going on with our children and how we can support them during this phase? These are the things that we are looking at. Now, before we continue, I want you to understand this, dear parents, that mood swings in preteens are a natural part of growing up. Yes. And our role as parents is to ensure, sorry, one second, please. Our role as parents sorry, needed to deal with something. All right, so yes, mood swings are a natural thing for your preteens, and it is something that is a part of their growth process. Now, your role as a parent, our role as parents is to provide support for the child during this period. Our role as caregivers, sometimes we're not the child's parents, but you are the caregiver. You are the primary caregiver at the time, whether you were a teacher, an aunt, an uncle, or whatever it is, the child is under your guidance, isn't it? Your role is to create support and reassurance, stability, all right, and to help them navigate this tumultuous phase of their lives. So, yes, mood swings are natural. What are you going to do to support the child during this period? What are you going to do to help the child during this period? What are you going to do to help them navigate, right, even with this natural phenomenon during this period of their lives? So we're going to dive right in, and talk about the reasons why our children go through mood swings. If you are here and you are watching us on YouTube, if you're joining for the first time, you need to, talk to us in the comment section. Let us know that you are joining us for the first time. All right. If you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, why don't you go ahead and hit the subscription button at this point? All right. So that you can follow and you will get notified every time we come live. You can make sure that happens by clicking on the notification button. If you have a parent of a young child and a preteen, even parents of toddlers, right, who have to start learning what to expect as their children become preteens, then this is the time to share the link with them on YouTube so that they can be a part of what we do here at 8 a.m. every morning. If you're on Facebook, tag a friend, tag a loved one so that they can also be a part of what we do. I always add, dear parents, if you're parenting your child, you're being intentional, you're getting knowledge, you're applying wisdom, you are putting what we are saying into practice. And you have the people in your circle, your tribe of friends, your loved ones, your parents, your siblings, your people who make up your support system. If they are not learning the same thing that you are learning, if your children's friends, parents of your children's friends, are not learning the same things that you are learning, then your task is difficult because you are teaching, and the people who are in the child's environment, who make up a part of the child's environment, are teaching different, or they are countering what it is that you are different, that you are teaching. It makes it confusing for the child. So when we say invite your friends, invite your family members, do everything within your power to bring your spouse on board, and so that you can all be in sync. It is not because we want followers, okay? It is more because we want your journey to be effective. We want the effort that you are making to be effective. And more than anything else, we want you to raise children who are stable, children who are not confused, because studies have shown that some of the biggest challenges that children have in their growth and development are the ones that are posed by the parents who are supposed to be raising them themselves. So it's important that we are getting knowledge, that we're applying the knowledge that we are getting, and that we are working as a team. All right, so number one reason that your child could be going through mood swings, or our preteens could be going through mood swings. I have a preteen and I have a Justin. Okay, not just my son is 14, okay, almost 15. So I have a teenager and I have, of course, a preteen. So I know my son just went off the preteen phase, isn't it? And I have like a bona fide preteen right now. So yes, I'm talking to you from a place of, a place of knowledge, of course, and I work with hundreds of young children and preteens. So that is why I'm sitting down here. So take everything that I'm saying seriously, because I am the one that should be talking to you about this. I have the authority, I have the expertise, and of course, I have the experience to share this with you. All right. So this show, we want to take what we do here and apply in your parenting, all right, because this is us creating or providing solutions for your parenting. But this is not enough. You would always need some hand holding. So get yourself in communities where you can continue to build yourself through community shared experiences and higher knowledge. All right, get your children into systems where your children would also build themselves through peer accountability, peer mentorship, and then, of course, the mentorship that is offered, right, by effective mentors in those communities. We run a robust and amazing system in the mastermind circle, our peer mentorship and accountability group, where we offer mentorship to children. We guide children to set goals for themselves and begin to achieve those goals. We lead them towards living life of excellence. Excellence is our core in the mastermind circle. And so we help the children take excellence and exhibit excellence in every part of their lives. So, because of what we do with them in the mastermind, these children become excellent in their academics. They become excellent in honing the talents and the gifts that God has given them. Because now they understand that you can't sleep on those talents, you can't sleep on those gifts, and so they are building them as a matter of, instruction from God, right? So they understand this. Now, this is what we do. We get them to the place where we give them convictions that help them become positive and build the right mindset, basically. All right. We also build their habits, building their habits, we get them to understand that character is important in everything. So with the strategy, we're able to raise and build a wholesome child in partnership with their parents. So if you have children between ages 6 and 14, the mastermind circle is for them. It is a foundation ground. Foundation never got this effective. I promise you that. All right. So after 14, we graduate them in the mastermind to bigger teenage programs where they can go and consolidate and become resourceful. And I promise you, every child we have graduated from the mastermind out there is super, not just effective, not just resourceful, but super resourceful. Every child that we have graduated, not those who came in and ran off because they couldn't, keep up with the heat. When you stay consistent and you go through the process, everything, the results that we have, the outcomes that we see are a result of the process. If you're not ready to commit to the process, then you are not ready. You are being you're not being realistic about the results you want to see. So part of it is in the process. All right. So we will also teach you, dear parents, how to stay committed and commit to the process without having to break your head or having to lose your mind. All right. So yes, let's go right into it. The number one reason why your child could be going through mood swing is hormonal changes. Yes. So as puberty sets in, of course, this children within this range, right, are preteens, are already, getting into puberty, right there in puberty. So as puberty sets in, of course, there is a significant hormonal change that is happening in a child, or is happening in your child, whether it's a boy or a girl, all right? And these emotional changes definitely affect their moods and their behaviors. There are a series of hormones that are present in boys, some present in girls, some present in both of them in different or in varying, amounts, basically. So hormones like estrogen, testosterone, progesterone, cortisol, serotonin, and even and then all the traces, okay, are present at this point. And then, of course, the changes in these hormones, the quantity of these hormones and all of that in the child's life, of course, will lead to, as I said, emotional imbalance in the child. And so when you see your child sometimes pulling a face, that thing that they do, wanting to be by themselves, becoming becoming angry at every instance, being irritable and all of that. It could be nothing it could be nothing that they can explain, right? It could just be the hormones raging within the child. Now if we understand this, then we would know how to help the child. If we understand the changes and how this is interacting with the child's brain and all of that, then we would understand why the child is probably going through the mood swings that the child is going through. I promise you, parents, it's an emotional roller coaster that the child is going through at this point as a result of the changes and the interaction of the hormones with the child's brain. So if you understand this, then you will become more empathetic towards the child. Now, for those of us who have children who are even, tilted more to the melancholic or phlegmatic, part, right? Not the ones who are, the life of the party. Your child is not a sanguine, and all of that. You are bound to see more of this. Okay, I have a child who has a mix of, phlegmatic, melancholy, and of course, some of that traits that we're still thinking whether it's there, it's not there, the choleric traits and all of that. But hey, what this means is that I have a child who is likely going to be more moody than my preteen who is a sanguine. All right. So if this is the case, understand this so that you know how to help your child. I'm not going to start talking about temperaments right now. So you may want to go and check temperaments and do a temperament check a test to see where your child belongs, and that will help you understand the child more and why the child has to deal with, or why the child has the mood swings that they have. As I said, your melancholic child is likely going to have more mood swings than your sanguine child who is the life of the party, and always by their nature would be happy many times. It doesn't mean that your sanguine child would also not have mood swings. I just said your melancholic child is likely going to have more. All right. The next one is their brain development. All right. So in the first 5 years of a child's life, there's a lot of brain development that is going on. The study shows that the highest level of brain development happens in the first 3 years, right? of the child's life. But as children have more brain development going on in their lives than we have when we are adults. Now, the other thing is the part of the child's brain that regulates, emotions, that regulates social connections and making decisions is not fully developed. It's called the prefrontal cortex. So the prefrontal cortex, that part of the child's brain that controls the child's actions, that controls how the child regulates or how the child responds, to emotions and to feelings is not fully developed. That part of the brain that helps the child make informed decisions is not fully developed. So as a result, the child will probably respond to, an emotion or a feeling in a way that, that is presenting as mood swings. Do you understand? So your child could be going through a frustrating situation, and rather than talk about it or rather than know how to control how they act during that time, the child becomes moody. The child begins to flip. The child begins to, put out a tantrum rage, out there. The child is irritable. The child becomes nasty to their younger siblings. The child is answering you, the parent, in monotones when you ask them questions, and the child is just generally being a pain at a time where everybody is probably having fun, and having a good time. So this could be as a result of where the child is, in their development. So it's all tied to their brain. And we already know that the prefrontal cortex doesn't get fully developed until sometime when the child is in their mid-20s, 25, 26. That's what study says, or that's what the experts say. So the level or where your child's brain development or how your child is able to regulate is going to be okay, we'll come to that when we're talking about solutions. But basically, the child's brain is not fully developed. That's why the child is unable to deal with, their feelings, and it could show up basically as mood swings, and all of that. All right, so that's part of what your child can be dealing with, their inability to manage big feelings like anger, frustration, and all of that, and then they become irritable and they begin to act in that way that is very annoying, especially to mothers, right? All right, so the number 3 one is stress and anxiety. I talked a lot about stress, in the last 2 episodes, the episode yesterday and day before yesterday. We were talking about how to help our children deal with stress and anxiety. And we said that anxiety is a result of stress. So when your child is stressed, it shows up as the child being anxious, the child having to deal with anxiety. And there are ways that we can help our children deal with anxiety. Now, we're going to be looking at 3 ways that stress and anxiety can show up or lead to our children becoming moody, and presenting all of that irritation and anger and all of those things that we cannot stand as parents of preteens. Number 1 is social pressure. All right. So when your child is pressured socially, and part of that pressure could be peer pressure, isn't it? So all of a sudden your child is 8 and 10 and 12, and the child becomes more conscious, okay, about the people, okay, and acceptance in their environment. Now, this is also natural, dear parents. It's not because you have raised your child badly that your child wants to do the things that their mates or their peers are doing. Okay, studies shows that when our children, during this phase in their lives, right, the influence of their friends actually trumps the influence of their parents during this phase of their lives. So how you want your counsel or your parenting to help the child navigate or support the child during this phase is a job that you should have done earlier on, basically. Okay, but what we're saying is it's not out of place that your child wants to do the things that his peers or her peers are doing. It's not out of place that they are doing what Iyabo does because Iyabo is in a certain way, or because Iyabo talks in a certain way, or because Iyabo, flips, gesticulates in a certain way. It's not out of place that your child begins to do these things because somewhere at the back of their mind they want to be like Iyabo or something like that. It's peer pressure. Okay, now some of the things that the pressure they get from their friends could actually lead to stress because the child is not in the place to do these things the way these people do it, or have the things that these people have, and all of that. I mean, let me give you a typical example. It could be your child has a friend that is, or has classmates that are from rich families, all right, or richer, financial status or whatever background, and this friend has got an iPhone. The friend has got an iPhone, and the friend has got this particular video game that is the in thing, and all that. And your child would really like to be like this person, but hey, his father, his mother, he's not going to hear of it. What's nonsense video game or whatever. We finish eating. It could be anything. It could just be who you are as a family. All right. This is not our thing and all of that. And so if you have not raised this child to be content, you have not raised this child to understand your lane, and all of that, this could come up as pressure for the child, because hey, he wants this, he wants to be like his peers, he wants to be, but then again, I can't have it. So it becomes pressure. It becomes pressure, and it becomes stressful. So this becomes, a stress factor for your child. The desire for acceptance. Your child could move to a new location, a new school, or the child could just be in that environment where there are cliques and things like that. And for some reason, he's not being accepted. For some reason, he's not being, he's left out, or he feels left out. He's isolated, and all of that. That could be pressure. The child could be going through all of that. We watch these things in movies. You see them especially in Hollywood movies, most times in school, where one child is seen as a geek, or is seen as a nerd, or is seen as socially awkward, and all of that. And you know how it is with these young people. Okay, it's so sad that some of the biggest lack of empathy is actually found among teenagers, right? Among preteens and teenagers. Some of the biggest, unacceptable behavior, right, is found among these young people. And so you begin to wonder, what is going on? All right. So you see some of them will bully this kind of children, you treat them, and all of that. So this happens when they go to new schools, in their neighborhood, in their classroom. All of this could happen. So when your child is going through such negativity, peer pressure, bullying, lack of acceptance and all of that, it can actually become a pressure for the child, and it can actually lead to stress and anxiety in the child if this is not identified and the child is not helped. All right. Negativity and negative social relationship. If the child has not been taught, or the child has not been guided to build social connections, to just know how to connect with other people, okay, of course this will lead to isolation. This will lead to frustration, okay, because they want to be with people, they want to play like other people. Remember, they're children, and play is a thing for them. But hey, the child is not able to, because the child doesn't even know how to break the ice and make friends with someone. There are people in the classroom that someone that the child is actually drawn to, but the child doesn't even know how to strike, and begin a friendship with that person. All of these, you would think is nothing, but these can be stress factors for our children. So this social pressure can actually lead to mood swings. So such children will come home and they get back from school. How are you, darling? No, I'm fine. I'm fine. They're not answering you. The one that they could not do in school, they come and they pour all of that frustration on you. All right. So when you have that child that is constantly quiet outside, is unable to tell you anything about, their friends, what happened to them, and all of that. They're able to give you feedback about anything that is happening outside. And then you see them when they come home, they exhibit like really, really nasty behavior. A lot of times it's not because they want to be nasty. It's because they don't have anything to say to you. They don't have anything, they feel like they failed in that area because they don't even know, they don't even have that skill. So yes, it is you who dares to ask the question that gets the brunt of the frustration poured on you by way of silent treatment, nasty comments, just or generally, just that whole don't come near me, vibe, right? So these are part of the things that your child can be going through. All right, number two is academic stress. When your child is going through academic stress, it could come up, it will show up as, mood swings in the preteen. Okay, and this academic stress can be come in different ways. It could be when your child, it could be that your child is at a level, okay, or in a class where the child, has reached a class all of a sudden where the child, there's more demand, right? The workload is more, and all of that. So this is your baby, your little child from elementary school, where all they need to do is do some crafts here and there. They have to, role play and do the very basic things, for them to get by. And then all of a sudden they get into secondary school, and now there's a demand on them to do more. There's a demand on them to perform to do more. Basically, let's leave it like that. I don't like the word perform. So there's a demand on them to do more. The workload is increased. Now you have to take notes. Now you have to make notes. Now you have to do all of that. Now, if the child doesn't have the right foundation, if the foundation has not been built for lifelong learning, if the foundation has not been built for, an eagerness to learn. Okay, if the child has not built skills that can help them navigate this period, all right, then the child will be stressed, and this can actually lead to all of the mood swings that you see. So academically, most times is because our children do not have the skills to cope with what it is that they are dealing with in their academics at the time, and it will show up as mood swings. All right, pressure to perform. All right, some of us parents, the child comes home during a test period. Sorry, I'm going to stretch this show for 10 more minutes today because we can't carry over this topic to next week. Okay, it's a Friday, so we can't take it to Monday. All right, so let's hurry up and then. So because the child comes home. Let's say it's a test period. Hi Becky, how you doing? All right, the child comes home and the child has got an 8/10, and you go like, what are you getting 8 for? The people that got 10, do they have 2 heads? So basically, without knowing it, you have dropped some level of pressure there on the child. All right, now this could be as simple as that kind of pressure, or it could actually be an outright pressure that comes to the child that is probably even doing less than 6, or the pressure that the child could be in an environment in a school where there is a standard. You knew as a parent that your child isn't sitting rock solid when it comes to understanding concepts, and how, based on how the child learns. Because really, with the right environment and the right understanding of the child, any child can do wonders, even in their academics. I don't believe in that thing that people say some children are dull. Some people see there is no dull child. There is only the child whose learning ability, whose style of learning has not been identified. There is that child, and there is also that child whose pace of learning is being ignored. So you already know that your child is not like this when it comes to grabbing concepts and applying it. Your child probably needs to hear that thing 2-3 times for it to happen. But no, you have put them in a preparation system where the child is drilled consistently for a year, 2 years, or for months, and all of a sudden you take the child and you drop the child in a system that is highly demanding, a system that is not a training or a preparation process anymore. Remember, in your preparatory process that you took the child through, the child was prepared. So that thing was repeated over and over again. So if the child didn't get it on the first day, the 10th day, the 11th day, probably got it on the second month, and all of that. So it was a preparatory process. Now the child is in the real school system where you put him through that preparatory process for. And in that real school system, there is no time for you to take 3 weeks and 1 month. The people there, their heads are hot, and it is expected that you grab it because the system is created for a certain kind of people who can grab concepts and run with it. And so your child begins to drag because they don't grab concepts as fast as these other people. Doesn't make these other people better. No way, they are not better. It is just their pace that is better. So as a parent, if you don't understand your child's pace, you will put them in environments that is highly pressured. And what you do is you put your child in a system where the child is stressed for 6 years of their lives. The painful part is we don't pay attention to what that stress can lead to. We are not even there. they are far from us. And then, of course, they are in a system where there are many other children. And so the people who even take care of them cannot put their finger, or do not even have a system, or cannot even have a system like the one you can have at home to trace and understand what your child is dealing with time. So this is it. Your child goes on stress for years on ending, and then they are anxious, they have anxiety for end, and then before you know it, after 6 years, your child is damaged in many ways, all in the bid to help your child get the best. I'm not going to talk more about this, but basically, these are some of the things that go on, all right, if we don't understand who our children are as learners, okay? So this can lead to academic stress, okay, and pressure to perform, all right? The other one is inability to cope. Your child, I mean, it's still back to the same thing. The child does not have the ability to cope at that level, probably because the child is younger. The child doesn't have the mental ability at that time to cope with the strength of the curriculum at the time. For those of us who like to fly, the child is doing well in primary 2. Because he's doing well in primary 2, automatically he belongs to in primary 3. And then he goes on in primary 3, that is the level ahead of him, okay? And really, it's not that easy. Okay, so we rush. And so at different phases, right, that child was doing awesomely where the child belonged, and the child was doing well where the child belongs. You take the child away and put the child where the child does not belong, and then all of a sudden, because the child feels grateful for being, I said to this morning that every child wants to win, because all of a sudden the child is feeling like a champion. He stays in there and is unable to say to you, it's in the heart for you, or something. Or sometimes they even do by, I mean, directly or indirectly, I was not interested in listening. After all, you already have the trophy of, mama, intelligent boy or girl. These trophy children, basically, this is it. They could be dealing with all of this, and this ends up, leading to all the mood swings, here and there, because inside the child is struggling. Inside there are a lot of unresolved settlements, basically. All right, the last one is identity formation. All right. Now, if your child could be at a phase where they're trying to form their identity, okay, as individuals, during their preteen phase. Of course, this is where individuality comes in, autonomy comes in. Your child is becoming more aware of who he is as a person, as an individual. All right. Now, the child could be going through stress at this period, because the child does not even know who he is. Do you understand? So your child may not even know who he is, and this alone is stress on its own. The child can be in a place where the child is overly being criticized. So at home, this is the phase where things like, we begin to hear parents say things like, oh, you never do anything right. You never before, without knowing it, well, actually, you address the child based on what the child is doing wrong or doing right. You address the child based on their performance, right, with activities. All right, now we begin to stereotype them and call them names, all right, based on their skill or ability at the time. So you hear things like, he's very slow, he's very dull, he's very this, he's very that. Some of those things we say carelessly. Sometimes it's from their teachers, okay? That one comes a lot from teachers. So the teachers know how to put children in small pockets of intelligent one, dull one, all of that. So you give a name to the child that becomes a problem. The child doesn't know who he is. Am I the dullard? Am I the this? And then all of a sudden he hears you can be more, and he's wondering, am I one of those that is more? And then he comes and hears Miss Mary Birch say, you have a giant inside you. And he's wondering, am I one of those with a giant inside me? Am I not dull? So there is identity crisis. So all of this can be a problem, okay, and can lead to, why the child, somehow these things are fluttering in the child's head. It's leading to all of this. All right. It could be also at this point, the child is trying to belong. Am I woke? Am I cool? Okay. In class, they make it seem like, okay, this one is the nerd. This one is not cool and all of that. So he's dealing with all that. He wants to belong to the cool ones. He's not one of the cool ones. All of this crisis the child is having to deal with. Okay. is in a new place. I mean, their cliques and all of that. He doesn't belong to anyone. He's neither accepted here nor accepted there. He's dealing with all of that. Some of them are going through, I mean, going through all kinds of what do you call it now? Gender confusion. Okay, with all the stories and the gender issues that we have. All right. So your child is sitting down. I mean, I've forgotten how did Coach Ebuka even call it? He said some of us are anyway. Some of us are just we're neither here. We don't believe in this or we believe in that. So we are empathetic. So your child is there. Oh, is it true? Should women be men? Are gays okay? Are they not okay? Is transgender okay? So the child is dealing with all of this. Okay, at some point he could be saying to himself, oh, okay. I mean, the people in class say, oh, he acts like a sissy. Am I maybe I should be gay? To me, all of this confusion going on. This is a phase of their lives that all of this go. Oh, I mean, are going on in their minds. And we want to trivialize these things and think like it's nothing. It's huge. These things are huge, and these are some of the things that our children are going through even as preteens. And this could be the reason why they're going through all of those mood swings, because they're having to deal with all of these issues. Apparently, we're not able to finish because I don't want to go beyond this stage. So we're not able to finish this topic. In the next class, we are going to be talking about how the strategies that we can use to help our children manage this, and that we can use to put ourselves in a place where we, first of all, can manage this, or we, first of all, can assume that place as the support and the calm parent who understands what the child is going through, because it is how you understand, accept, and you are ready to support the child because you understand how empathetic you are, that will help the child manage themselves and get the stability that they need to manage, the stress in their lives, or manage whatever other factor, right? Brain, the hormones that are raging, brain and whatever brain development, and all of these things that could be the reason why they are having the mood swings. All right. So it is your understanding and empathy that will direct the child first, and then the strategies that we give you to support the child will now help the child to manage this phase of their lives. If you like your child to be a part of the mastermind circle, where we support and work with parents to achieve everything that we talk about on this show, then you need to hurry and book a slot for the mastermind circle. Next cohort begins on the 1st of September. It's around the corner. So this is the time to book a slot, okay, to join us. This partnership is one of the best things that will happen to you and to your child, to you on your parenting journey, and to your child as they navigate, through life to become teenagers. It's such a great foundation program for any parent who wants to raise a skillful child, a resourceful teenager. Then the mastermind circle is for you. Apart from that, what is your child doing for summer? We have our 30 days summer activity book challenge. It is such a fun book reading, challenge, where your children will be reading books with all willingness, with all excitement, because of the motivation that we are bringing to book reading, or to reading books. All right. So let no parent ever open their mouth and say, my child does not like to read books. If that is you, please get them in this challenge. If you have children 0 till 14, get your 8-month-old child. This is the time to program them and build the foundation for cultivating the habit of reading. If your school-age children and toddlers do not like to read yet, please bring them. Let us ginger them and teach them and help them see why they should, and above all, give them motivation for reading. Activity plus a sense of satisfaction is always the joker that you need to get motivated. So this is what we do for 30 days. And there's a reason we're staying for 30 days, because we know that consistent Consistency is the mother of learning. Repetition is the mother of learning. So bring your child. Let us support you during the summer holiday now that they are at home and you have some time for them so that we can build these habits together. In the mastermind, we're all about habits. So let's help you build this habit in your child. Apart from that, let's have and help your child have some more fun this summer. All right, so if you'd like to be a part of that, just check in the comment section after this class and you will see a link to click and join the waiting group where we will be offering the best discount for our early bird challengers. It's as simple as the money you need for meat pie. That's all you need for this challenge for 30 days with bonus worth over 20,000 naira. And we are not capping. We mean every word. Thank you very much for joining me today, and I'll see you on Monday again at 8:30 a.m. when we come back to answer another question in the How Can I Support My Child series. My name is Mary Chima. Have a lovely weekend, and bye.